Hey everybody, Travis Bowman here. I'm a fingerstyle guitar player and retro video game nerd. It's time to give some gifts to that retro video game nerd in your life, and I've got a huge selection of some really cool stuff on this table today. Now granted, a huge portion of the stuff on the table are controllers, but I do have some other really cool stuff that you might not have heard about that will really satisfy that retro video game itch that some of your loved ones will have. Now this could be for the holidays or for someone's birthday or even for yourself for that matter. But either way, no matter what you're looking to get this for, you will find the links of everything on this table in the description below. The first thing I'd like to talk about is not actually a retro video game item at all, but it can be used for a multitude of different reasons. This is a really cool electronic air duster from MECO. Now this thing is unreasonably powerful. Like it's so powerful. So I'm going to turn it on real quick, and I'm at 72% battery life right here. I'm going to turn it on. This is at 1%, and I'm really feeling the resistance right here. Let's go ahead and crank this sucker up. This is at 31. 76%. 100. God, I love this freaking thing, man. I've got so many video game consoles, and I've got a PC, keyboard, all sorts of stuff that just gathers dust. I've got two cats, and I'm sure they're going to show up at some point in this video before it's done. But this is such a great device. This is meant to replace the compressed air that is admittedly getting super expensive, outrageously expensive, unreasonably expensive. This is on average about 50 bucks and sometimes even a little bit less depending on if it's on sale or not. And if you're doing a Black Friday thing, odds are you're gonna find this for a lot cheaper than 50 bucks. It's such a great investment. It's got a USB-C port for charging. I cannot say enough good things about this MECO Airduster. This is one of the coolest things in my collection just because it helps me keep my collection very clean. So if you're looking for a gift to give somebody that is either into retro video games or electronics in general, this is a no-brainer. It's a great gift. Next thing I want to talk about is this super cool GameCube themed keyboard from NYXI. Now, NYXI is really known as the controller guys. They do a lot of PC controllers, but they've also kind of dipped their toes into the modern controllers for retro consoles game, among several other controller manufacturers, but NYXI is really doing it right. I've received pretty much every single one of their controllers at this point, and some of them are great, some of them are good, but none of them are like terrible. In my experience. I really enjoy the craftsmanship that goes into their controllers, and they've got a GameCube themed controller that we're going to talk about here in a second, but I wanted to get this out of the way first. How cool is this? This super cool keyboard, this mechanical keyboard from NYXI. So we'll get some close-up shots of this so you can really see what's going on here, but this is a very creamy keyboard as opposed to like super clicky-clacky, so I'll hit the space bar a couple times. There you go. Yeah, it's a very creamy sounding keyboard, which some people like, admittedly some people don't particularly like. I think it's kind of cool though. I love the sounds that are coming off of this keyboard here. In addition to being able to plug this in to your PC, you've also got two different toggle switches here that allow you to do a 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth. 2.4 gigahertz dongle is included right inside of the controller, or the keyboard rather, which is actually pretty nice, so you don't have an excuse to lose it. It's attached to the keyboard there. You have this really cool like dot matrix screen up there, and we were kind of messing around with this the other day. There's not a ton of room, so you can't do any super intricate designs or anything like that, but some people have gotten on the app. There's an application, program, what have you, on your PC that allows you to customize this RGB lighting and stuff like that. You can also customize what you see on that screen. Overall, it's a really great keyboard, and for the price, it's actually pretty nice quality. And I love the GameCube theme too, so if you've got somebody in your life that's a huge fan of the GameCube, but they've already got everything GameCube, you might want to look at something like this for them. This is the NYXI Striker keyboard. So let's jump into some controllers here. We might as well start with NYXI because we're talking about NYXI for a second. This right here is the NYXI Master P1. It's a strange name for a controller, I'll admit, but this is such a wonderful controller. It's designed as a PC controller. You can also use it on Android and iOS and your Nintendo Switch. But this is probably the controller that I use the most in my game room, and it's just tethered to my PC. So I've got my television behind me, and my computer is connected to it via an HDMI cable that goes up into my attic and down through the wall. And that's how I play all my PC games. I can't stand sitting at a computer desk with a controller like this. I'm a big guy, I'm like 6'4", and that's never been super comfortable for me. I would much rather just chill on the couch, and this is such a great companion for your PC games. It's kind of like an Xbox layout, of course, but you've got some triggers on the back that you can flip these switches on, and they become clicky buttons instead of full send triggers, which is really nice. One thing about NYXI that I will say, some controllers are totally terrible when it comes to pairing it to the dongle with whatever device that you're trying to use it on, but I've never really had that issue at all with NYXI. NYXI really knows how to get that stuff done, whether it's 2.4 gigahertz or Bluetooth. You've got a dongle and you've got a device, and they always know how to communicate with each other, and this is no exception. If you're looking for a PC controller that you just want to use to play pretty much any Steam game that you can think of, I would highly recommend that you look into the Master P1. The D-pad is really, really nice too. By the way, pretty much everything on this table that I'm going to be talking about today already has its own dedicated video on my YouTube channel, so if you want to learn more about these specific devices, I can point you in that direction, and the link in the description below as well. Next on the list is another NYXI controller. We've got the NYXI Warrior right here. Now this is designed as a multi-use controller. You can see that we've got the GameCube design going on here, just like the Striker keyboard that we've got there. It's kind of the same scenario. This is a GameCube controller first, but you can also use it on your Nintendo Switch and your PC. I've used it on pretty much all of them. This is my GameCube controller, man. I love the Wavebird. It's such a great controller, and it's legendary at this point. But having to deal with the batteries and connecting to the dongle when you've got multiple Wavebirds is kind of a pain in the butt, at least for me. But what I love about this controller is that it just connects straight to the dongle, and it's got everything that you need. You've got your dual triggers on the back, which can also become the full send triggers or just the buttons, which is really nice. What I do love about this particular controller is the micro switchy clicky buttons. It kind of sounds like a mouse click, which is a really nice touch that they did not have to do. And by the way, most of this stuff I've had for quite some time. So I'm going to be going into the fact that this stuff really holds up. I mean, I've played the crap out of this controller, as well as the NYXI Master P1, and pretty much everything else on this table. I've really put it through its paces. So I don't have any really big complaints about the quality of everything that's on this table. That's another thing that we should talk about, is that everything on this table is pretty darn good in terms of quality. So you don't have to worry about spending your money and then somebody being disappointed with a piece of crap, pretty much. But this is definitely my favorite way to play the GameCube. But it's also a great PC controller. It's got some heft to it too. I mean, it's not like super heavy, but it's got a lot of real estate. And for a guy like me that's got big hands, I really, really do enjoy that. I mean, the GameCube controller, the original, is such a great controller that kind of melts in your hands. And this one really kind of has that same vibe, but it's just a little bit bigger. So keep that in mind if you got somebody with bigger hands that really enjoys the GameCube or just playing the Nintendo Switch or their PC games. This is a super, super attractive controller for a GameCube fan. So now we're moving on to some RetroFighters controllers. RetroFighters are among some of the best third-party modern controller for retro console guys. They've been doing this for a while, and they just keep pumping stuff out, man. And I really am super grateful for them, because wow, they've given us a lot of controllers that we, quite frankly, probably didn't deserve, but we've got them anyway, which is great. So I'd like to start with the Striker DC, this wireless gamepad right here for your Sega Dreamcast, but I believe you can also use this on your computer as well. This is what we're looking at right here. So it's pretty bare bones. There's not much crazy going on here, but it just works, man, which is what I love about it. Now, I've had this controller for quite some time. I've really put it through its paces, and it works with pretty much every Dreamcast game that you can imagine, and it's a great PC controller too. We do not have a second analog stick on this though, but you know, if you're a fan of the Dreamcast, you know that we're used to that at this point. Some games where you have to move around, you know, like a third or a first-person shooter, rather, you have to move around with the buttons. That's your kind of up, down, left, and right WASD situation, and then you move the stick to look around. But that's just with those particular games. This is such a great controller, and if you're a fan of the Dreamcast, then you know just how great those games were designed for the original Dreamcast controller. This is basically a wireless version of it. Is it exactly the same thing? Absolutely not. This is a modern iteration of the Dreamcast controller. And although I have one complaint about this, and I'll get to that here in a second, I really can't say that this is a great controller. I've never had any issues with battery life or connectivity or anything like that, which is great. But there's a lot of real estate right there, and I wish that they would have given us an extra set of buttons so we can mimic that wonderful Sega arcade layout of having 3 buttons on top, 3 buttons on bottom for some arcade stuff, you know, like some arcade fighters and stuff like that. There's a lot of Street Fighter games on this system. There's a lot of great fighting games. And unfortunately, using the triggers for a fighting game still, even with a controller like this, it's not the best. But if you're not into that sort of thing, if you just want to play some 3D Dreamcast games like Sonic Adventure, Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur, what have you, this is a great controller to do that with. Another great thing about Retro Fighters is that they actually listen to their fan base, which is great, because it's not just me that complained about this controller not having the 6 face buttons. So what did they do? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it seems, they gave us the Retro Fighters D6 fighting pad for your Sega Dreamcast and your PC. This is such a wonderful controller that I am quite frankly really stoked that we actually have for use with our Sega Dreamcast. Now, if you're a big fan of the Dreamcast, then you're probably thinking about the ASCII pad controller, which again is a pretty good controller that only came out in Japan. Well, this is a worldwide release right here. We finally got a proper 6-button Dreamcast pad. If your loved one or your buddy or whoever you're buying gifts for is a huge fan of fighting games, this is a no-brainer. This can be used on your PC as well. I've used it on the PC. It comes with its own USB-C dongle as well as a dedicated Sega Dreamcast dongle. So that's so freaking cool, man. I love it that we have options like this in 2025 and beyond. You have 2 dongles. You can hook this up to your Dreamcast and to your PC. You only need 1 controller to play it on either platform. But I will mention that they do have another iteration of this that's black to match the Sega Dreamcast Sports console, which I do have, and I'm really stoked to have that. Having both of them is really cool. But again, with these buttons, you got those micro switchy clicky feel right there, which is great. And it's the same thing with the D-pad. Admittedly, some people have complained about the D-pad being a little too stiff, but you've got down here this 3-way switch that allows you to map this D-pad to the actual D-pad, to the left stick, and for PC stuff, for some reason, if you wanted to do this, I don't know why you would, but you can map it to the right stick. So there's a lot of customization in this, and that's what I love about it. You can get as crazy with it as you possibly want to, but you could also just leave it in its default state and not have to worry about all the different combinations and stuff and use it for what it's meant to be used for, and that's fighting games. But that being said, I've had a lot of fun with like Virtua Tennis with this controller, Tennis 2K2, as well as a couple of different platformers and stuff. It's a really different, unique take on the Sega Dreamcast controller, and I think a Sega Dreamcast fan would really get a kick out of this one. And finally, from Retro Fighters, this is probably my most used Retro Fighters controller just because it is so freaking perfect, man. That is your Brawler 64 wireless gamepad for your Nintendo 64. You've got a 2.4 gigahertz connection with this guy, so you never have to worry about too much latency with your Nintendo 64. One of the coolest things about the N64 is the fact that it has 4 controller ports. And there's a lot of games on that system that allow you to have 4 friends playing the same game at the same time, which is great. But what sucks is having to deal with all of the controller cables, especially if you've got cats or any other dogs or kids or something like that. It's a nightmare to have to wrap all those things up when you're done playing and then put them away so your original controllers don't get damaged and everything. I've got a really nice system for all of these wireless controllers. I've got underneath my television back there, I've actually got a USB hub where I keep everything charged at once. And this definitely does not stay on the charger too long because I just use it so freaking much, man. Now I've got all 4 colors. I had to do that. I had to be that guy. This is the red controller box right here, and I've got all the other boxes over there in the other room. But this is kind of like the charcoal see-through black color. This is my main Player 1 controller, and then I bust out the rest of them when my friends come over. This is such a wonderful controller that I've had 0 issues with. I've never had an issue where I have all 4 controllers plugged in and they get confused. Every controller seems to really connect to its own respective dongle, and I've never had any issues beyond that. One thing about this controller that's really nice is that it's a modern take on the N64 controller. I have no problems personally with the N64 controller. I've never had issues with it because I grew up with it. However, my hands are freakishly huge now. And I just cannot deal with the N64 controller because when I'm holding onto that middle prong with my left hand, my knuckle rubs against that left prong and it just rubs me raw and I can't stand it. It starts to hurt after a while and it really sucks because I've got a lot of nostalgia for that controller, but I don't really think about it too much anymore because of the Brawler 64. This is such a great controller, wireless controller too. Now, if you're not into the wireless for some reason, they do have a wired version, but I'm pretty sure those are getting phased out in favor of the wireless version. And it's my understanding that eventually we're going to get a Pro version of this controller right here. But this is a great controller for a great price. And if you're a big spender and you want to do what I did and get the entire collection, so to speak, they have several different colors, just like the N64 controller did back in the day. If you're an N64 fan, or if you're buying for a Nintendo 64 fan, they need this for sure. Now we're getting into some Everdrives. These are among my favorite upgrades for your retro consoles. Modern upgrades for retro consoles, man, that's what my channel's all about. I love it when stuff like this happens. And these are some of the coolest upgrades that you're ever gonna see for your retro consoles, particularly your cartridge-based consoles. And of course, we're talking about the Everdrive from Crix. I've got several Everdrives for pretty much all of my cartridge-based systems, and I am all the better for it, man. Game collecting has skyrocketed to an absurd level. Some of the coolest games out there are now fetching a lot of money, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, when they used to be common as dirt. But that's just the way that the market is right now. People have a lot of nostalgia, particularly guys my age in their 30s, that really, really want to collect their childhood and have that back again, and as a result, prices climb. But what if you just really have a lot of nostalgia for playing the games and that's all you want to do? You remember playing on your old video game console and you just want access to all the games without having to resort to emulation because original hardware is still somewhat important to you. Everdrives, buddy, these things are freaking awesome. All they are cartridges that have an SD card slot inside of them. So the idea is you take your games, your backups, you put those on the SD card and then put that in to the Everdrive, put it in your console because it is a legitimate cartridge, and as far as your console knows, it's the real thing. But you have a dedicated menu, integrated menu that you can go through and pick whatever game that you want. The possibilities are pretty endless with this, particularly with the Game Boy Advance Everdrive right here. This is the GBA Mini. This one's actually very affordable and it allows you to play Game Boy Advance games, and you can also emulate Game Boy Color and the original Game Boy on this guy, which is freaking awesome. That's 3 console libraries in one. It's a hell of a deal, and I highly encourage you, if you've got a friend that's into the Game Boy and they don't have one of these, get them this. I think they will love you forever, for damn sure, because this is such a cool thing for your Game Boy. By the way, these Everdrives, it's super easy to find out if your loved one or your buddy or even yourself would actually really like these things. All you have to do is just ask them, do you still have a Game Boy Advance? You still play your Game Boy Advance? And they'll say, yes, I really do enjoy my Game Boy Advance. I still play it all the time. Boom, get them this. Same thing with all the other Everdrives for all the other consoles that we're gonna be talking about, which brings me to the next one. It's the Everdrive 64 for your Nintendo 64. This is a freaking necessity for me because the N64 is a great console that has a relatively small library. I think it's somewhere around 250 to 280 games or something like that. And talk about expensive, man. Some of those heavy hitters like Conker's Bad Fur Day, and you've got even like GoldenEye rising up in prices all the time, and it's just ridiculous. You might not be that guy that's into collecting cartridges, you just want to play the games on your original hardware. This is for you, man. From Crix, we've got the Everdrive 64 X7. Now, some of these Everdrives have different tiers. You've got the X3 and the X5 and the X7 and all that good stuff like that, but if you want all of the bells and whistles, you definitely want to get the X7, and of course you can get on the website and thumb through and figure out what's the differences between the X3, X5, and X7, but this one right here is so freaking awesome, and I don't know what I'd do without it because I love my N64, but I'm not into collecting some of the heavy hitters for sure. Next up, we've got the FX Pack Pro from Crix and Akari 01. So this one's special. This one's kind of not like the others just because of the Super Nintendo and how weird it is. The Super Nintendo, back in the day, if you had that Mode 7 graphics, aka the 3D looking stuff that was on the Super Nintendo that just seemed otherworldly at the time, the Sega Genesis couldn't really do anything quite like that. That is because of the special chips that were in each cartridge. Some of the chips were called the FX chip, and there's other names and stuff for it. But the point is, this is kind of a special one because getting an Everdrive that has the ability to emulate with an FPGA, mind you, all of those different chipsets for each of these different games that required their very own special chips and stuff, it was very difficult to do, but they finally did it. And this supports pretty much every single Super Nintendo game from every region, which is fan-freaking-tastic. But another thing about this one, this FX Pack Pro for the Super Nintendo that I particularly love, is the fact that you can emulate your Game Boy on here without the need for a Super Game Boy. If you're unfamiliar, the Super Game Boy was a cartridge that you could buy for your Super Nintendo, and it contained a cartridge slot to put a Game Boy game inside of it. And as long as it was an original Game Boy game, no Game Boy Color and no Game Boy Advance, of course, you could play that on your system and play your Game Boy games on your big screen TV, and what a hell of a time that was. You don't have to worry about having actual Game Boy cartridges. You can just have this cartridge and boom, the entire library is available for you right there. In addition to that, we've got some really, really cool additions with some fast ROM stuff. Some of the games kind of ran a little bit slower than they should have back in the day on the Super Nintendo. You can get a hacked ROM set called Fast ROM, which basically just speeds up the ROM to a faster speed. Some of the games on there are actually really crazy as far as the differences between the two. So it's fun to tinker around with. And if you're a big fan of tinkering, the FX Pack Pro is great for you because you have MSU1 hacks. All that means is that you've got Super Nintendo games that have been enhanced with CD quality audio, which is really crazy. And this is polarizing. Some people think it's blasphemy to mess with the original chip tunes that are on the Super Nintendo, but others like me who are actual musicians can see a little bit of value in it, you know? I like to have it both ways. Just like on the Master System, you had the PSG sound, which is really high-pitched and stuff, but then you had the FM soundtrack, which sounded much more sophisticated. It's kind of the same situation, but with CD quality audio. This is such a great feature for a cartridge like this. You get so much bang for your buck. It is a little pricey. It's probably one of the more expensive Everdrives, but what you get with it is insane. And any Super Nintendo fan, or Game Boy fan for that matter, would be super freaking happy with the FX Pack Pro. Finally, last on the list, we have one of my absolute favorites that I take advantage of all the time. It's another Everdrive, the MECO Everdrive Pro from Crix. This thing is freaking amazing. Now, if you're a fan of the Sega Genesis, you remember Sonic, and you remember Streets of Rage, you remember Golden Axe, you remember Comix Zone, all those games, and those are great, and of course this will play every single one of those with no problems. However, the cool thing about the MECO Everdrive Pro is that not only does it support Master System games, but it also supports 32X games as long as you have an actual physical 32X plugged into your system. But the big one, and this is huge, and I remember when this came out, I was like baffled that this was even possible. This cartridge right here can play Sega CD games without the need of an actual Sega CD add-on system, which is insane, but that's just how it works, man. These Everdrives have come a long way since they first showed up around 2012, 2013, I think, and I mean, they just keep getting better and better. But the point is, this is like the best. This is the Rolls Royce. You probably won't get a better Everdrive than this. We have reached the peak of an Everdrive cartridge for your system. You've got so much in this cartridge. Not only do you have Sega Genesis support as well as the Mega Drive support for all of the European and Japanese stuff, you've got 32X support, you've got Master System support, you've got Sega CD support now, and you also have the ability to do a similar thing with the MSU1 stuff. I think it's called MD+. It's the same situation as on the FX Pack Pro. You've got enhanced audio on your Sega Genesis games. Some of it is actually really freaking great. But I don't know, I'm probably more biased myself in liking the actual Sega Genesis soundtrack just because it hits so freaking hard, man. It's metal as hell, and that's what I grew up with. But if you're a tinkerer, why not? Why not mess around with it and make your own opinions? Listen to it. Listen to the MD Plus audio, and then listen to the actual Sega Genesis audio, and A/B it, and try to figure out which one is going to be the one for you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I've done a review video for pretty much every single thing on this table at this point. So if you want to learn more about it, I would highly encourage you to watch those videos in the link in the description below. The description is going to be full of stuff today. We've got links in the description for where you can learn more about all this stuff and purchase it for either you or your loved one, or just your buddy that you kind of like. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. See, I told you a cat was going to show up at some point. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Thanks for checking out all the other stuff that I've got on my YouTube channel regarding everything that you see on the table here. And those links in the description are affiliate links, which just means that it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it actually helps me out and gives me a little bit of commission for everything that is going to be sold from this video. So I really appreciate you guys using those affiliate links. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.